First of all, hi.
Hi.
What's it like playing the best character on the Vampire Diaries?
What?
Does it make you like embarrassed, or is it too much of a challenge, or?
Well, every day when I step on the trail of rose petals from my trailer that lead out to where I'm supposed to stand on set, no, thank you. That is very flattering. I absolutely love the character of Caroline, so I have an absolute blast with her. I thank you. Wow, that's very.
I know this is a scientific fact. Everyone knows that Caroline is the best character on the show, and I'm wondering, do you get your car keyed a lot by co-stars? Is there a lot of jealousy about how good?
I keep telling them, they need to back off with the car keying. I mean, it's more Diet Coke that just eats the paint off. No, I mean that just all goes back to the writers. I mean, that is a very huge compliment for the writers, and I'm just grateful to be a part of that character. I find the same thing. I find that I relate to her in the sense that she just puts her foot in the mouth and in her mouth all the time, and she's flawed, and she just wants to be loved and to just throw fun parties, and she just wants to be that a normal high school girl that is just wrapped up in this crazy world. And but the core of her is just so human, and I love that as well.
The thing that's been consistent about her from before the transformation to after is that she's still kind of the funniest character on the show. I mean, Damon has his one-liners, but Caroline's kind of most Kevin Williams-y sometimes.
Yes.
And so, do you find that having to toss off a good one-liner is as challenging or more so than just having to cry or something like that?
I much prefer one-liners over crying. Yeah, it's always funny when you get a one-liner and then. It's really good when the entire week leading up to shooting it, various members of the crew are coming up to you being like, "Hi, Mom." And you're like, "Yep, I have to say that next week, and I've just heard it 8 times today because everyone's excited for me to say hi, Mom." And everybody just needs to stop kissing me, and it's funny. There's because you have these burly crewmen coming up being like, "Everybody just needs to stop kissing me," and then you're like, "Yes, that is." I hope I say it where everyone laughs, because if no one laughs, it's just going to get really awkward.
So when you crack a script and stuff, are you ever has it gotten to the point where you're no longer surprised about anything you see because it's just craziness all the time? Or
sometimes it's more because that's it. I've kind of it gets broken up with every. What is the episode? It's every 7 episodes or every 9. It's kind of a new
with an arc
journey of they've broken up into the arcs, and so. Sometimes within the middle of it, where that it's building up to something, but it's that's part of the season is there's going to be very information heavy episodes. So sometimes when I read those episodes, it's just a little overwhelming. Where once it's all played out, it makes it all comes together. I'm not necessarily not surprised by any means because we don't know what's going to happen. It's hilarious when you do have an episode off, or the writers are kind of catching up, and you are talking, doing phone interviews, and people are like, "What's going to happen in these episodes coming up?" And you're like, "Actually, I have no idea. I really don't." And so, I'll get my script in 3 days, and then I'll possibly figure out something.
Right. I mean, I guess that makes me ask. I've read a lot of interviews with cast members where the interviewer is like, "Well, is your character going to fall in love with so-and-so, or are you, they ask you to speak as though you're Caroline or something?" And then do you ever just want to be ask the writers? Because I mean, how do you pretend to know, the future without really even ever knowing it?
I know, I don't. I just say, I have no idea.
So you're just upfront.
I'm just upfront. Yes, I'm completely upfront. I mean, at this point, I know how the season ends, but for season 4, I mean, that's what we're going to start getting in weeks to come, is what's going to happen in season 4. The writers are on vacation right now, so we really have no idea. And even, it's funny because as soon as we'll start shooting season 4, the writers will kind of come into town, or we'll be here and we'll start, we'll be on them like buzzards and vultures, and so what's going to happen next? And they'll give us a whole arc of what they see for the season, and it changes 28 times throughout the season, just because that's their creative license to do so, and so we really don't know what to expect.
I have this theory that writers will once they get to know what an actress or actor can do, they'll start writing for that actor, for their strengths and stuff. And so I have a theory that kind of the current Caroline we have now is due in large part because what they saw you doing during season 1. They're just we need to take her in this direction. Have you ever seen that kind of, I mean, first of all, do you think that's true?
I think in the sense of yes, I think it's inevitable that writers are going to get to know actors and kind of see their little ticks and glitches and see kind of who they are as a person, and definitely play that up sometimes within the character because it just happens naturally. You know, for instance, I don't know if the episode, I'm not giving anything away, but I don't know if the episode is aired yet, where Caroline has a moment where she's talking about television, and I was living with my aunt for a little while this past year, and so that's what we do. You know, we're ladies, and so every Monday, that was our fun little Monday aunt and niece thing to do, was to sit down and watch The Bachelor. So I was very vocal about this at work, and lo and behold, Caroline's like, "It's okay, I watched The Bachelor." You know, becomes in the script, and I'm in the read through, and of course have my little blonde moment where like, "Oh my god, it's funny because I actually watch it," and everyone's like, "Yeah, we know." That's light bulb.
Does it make you nervous that maybe you should watch what you say around writers because it might be in the scripts?
No, it's funny. I mean, I feel like that's also another part of just being in this industry. If you can't laugh at yourself, then that's going to be a really long existence. So I'm completely fine with it.